So first things first, I'm going to start with my current favorite moisturizer, which is the Glossier Priming Moisturizer. So I just take a little bit of this, about that much, does my entire face. So I'm just gonna dot it and rub it in. And I'll be honest, usually I have my hair up to do this, but no worries. Now this is really nice because I have combination skin, so it hydrates, but it doesn't leave it too oily. And I really like it because I actually put a little bit under my eyes so that my concealer doesn't crease, and it seems to work really well, and it doesn't make the concealer fall off or get greasy or slidey throughout the day. The next thing I do is I take the Glossier again, the Perfecting Skin Tint in the shade Medium, and I shake it up. This is what I use basically to just even out all the redness, because I'm sure you can see I have a few blemishes. I get really red in my cheeks and around my nose and chin. So what I like to do, this just kind of diffuses some of that redness. I take about that much, rub it in. Start with one side of my face. And I think it just kind of, you'll see in a second after it dries, it kind of calms down the skin and gives it just the slightest coverage. When my skin is really clear, I often just wear this on its own because it's so lightweight and it really gives a beautiful finish that looks really natural and dewy without looking oily. I love the way dewy skin looks. It's so youthful and glowing and looks like you'd just got out of the shower, but better. I don't know. I just love that look of dewy skin. Okay, so I bring it down the nose. I really have fallen in love with these Glossier products, and I think they have an amazing price point for the quality, so definitely check those out. Next thing is, I think you know that I love already, I love the Makeup Forever Ultra HD stick. It's just so convenient, and the thing I love about high coverage foundation, no matter if it's the liquid or this one, you can shear it out. So it's, instead of buying like a tinted moisturizer and a medium coverage foundation and a high coverage foundation, and having all these foundations, I just have one. And I change it for my skin tone for the time of year. So this time of year I wear 118. And the nights that I know I need, flawless skin, I put this everywhere, buff it in, blend it in, it looks beautiful. And for daytime, when I'm just, doing my thing, stay-at-home mom, I just dot this on lightly where I get really red and use it to cover up blemishes. And I love it because it looks good and my skin looks healthy, but it doesn't feel too heavy. So I'm just gonna pop that right over those blemishes just because I can't stand looking at them anymore. I just hate when that happens. They just pop up out of nowhere and hang out. Okay, so truth be told, I love my brushes, but when it comes to me and my foundation, I actually just use my fingers. A lot of beauty experts and makeup artists will tell you not to do that because the truth of the matter is the oils in your fingers actually break up the product and they will break down the coverage. So for me, I like that because for my daytime looks, I don't want a really strong look. So I don't mind that, but in case you're wondering if that's been happening to you and you're applying with your fingers and you think your foundation just looks like it's falling off or not staying on all day, that honestly could be why. So I would definitely suggest getting a little buffing brush or a nice foundation brush and, take good care of it, wash it. I would wash your brushes every 2 weeks, once a month, depending on how much you use them. And that way you have it forever. I'm not into buying stuff and throwing it out. I like to make quality purchases, so. Okay, so that is everything rubbed in. Now, is it perfect? No, it's just giving me the illusion of some brighter skin, clearer skin, but you can still see my blemishes. They're there. I mean, you can still see some of the little spots and dots, but I feel like for the daytime, that's just me on a daily basis, and I wanna kind of let that shine through. I'm not trying to look editorial right now. Okay, The next thing I do, these are my favorite. These are the Bobbi Brown lash curlers. They're like this matte black color. I don't know, I just love the lift they give my lashes. So I'll just get in there. Little trick when you're curling your lashes, tilt it up the slightest bit and then squeeze. And then as you're squeezing, use less and less and less lash. So that way you get a nice even curl and you don't get like that bent look. So they look like they're like a right 90-degree angle. So same thing on the other side, lift the lash curler up and then just gently squeeze and let go. And sometimes I just have to move them around a little, make sure they're even. And that just gives my eyes such a lift. I love that step. Okay, the next thing I do is I need to use an eye primer because my lids get really oily and I do like to wear a shadow even for every day, just to give my eyes a little bit of depth. So I really like the NARS Pro Prime Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. So I take it right on the doe foot applicator, put a little dot, and then I just use my ring finger, rub it right in, and I'll take it up to the brow bone because sometimes my mascara smudges up there and I find if I put this primer, I don't get those little dots from the tips of my mascara, and I love that. And if there's any left on your finger, go ahead and bring it right down here, right under the lashes where we all tend to get some like creasing. It'll kind of help your concealer stay on too. Love that. Okay, next thing, my go-to has actually been the Charlotte Tilbury Dolce Vita palette, and I really love this shade here. I don't know, it's just called the smoke shade actually, but really it's kind of like this toasty brown bronzy color. And I find with my eye color and my complexion that that's just a great everyday for me. So I'm gonna take that on this Real Techniques brush. And I'm gonna start, flatten out some of that. If you find that your primer smudges a little or gets in a crease, just push it into the lid. That way you don't get creases from your eyeshadow. So I always start in the middle of the eye, kind of dabbing, and then I start slowly blending to the other edges. And I love this palette because for me, it's just one of those ones with colors in it that you can use summer, fall, winter, spring. It's just a great neutral palette, and she sells it year round, so it's not limited edition and you'll always be able to find it. I know some people have a hard time thinking about, you know, makeup and what it costs, and I'm definitely a girl on a budget, but when it comes to my makeup, I definitely make sure that I buy things that are quality, so that I just tend to go for the stuff that I know works and that will give the best results. So if you're having a hard time kind of justifying a purchase, reach out to me on Twitter. Ask me if it's a good idea. I love having those little banters back and forth. My friends are always saying like, what should I get from Sephora? What's the latest, greatest thing? And I love sharing those little tips. So, you know, if you're not sure about something, if it's worth the splurge, definitely ask a friend or let me know and I'll help you out. I have hooded eyes, which means when my eyes are open, all you see is just the skin here. You don't see any top of the lid. So I can get away with wearing a little bit of a darker color during the day, I think, and I think that's why. But I really also just like these bronzy, smoky shades. I think they're kind of feminine and sultry in a way. And I'm just taking a clean brush, my blending brush. I just love this NARS one. I don't think they make it in this particular barrel anymore. I think this one is discontinued, but they always make a tapered, fluffy brush that you can use. The tapered part is great. That's what gets in the crease, and then the little outer brushes do all the blending work for you. So just wiggling this in a windshield wiper motion back and forth kind of quickly. And it's just diffusing some of that line that you see right here. And if you find that it's still looking a little too dark, just go back in and do like these little tiny circular motions. And sometimes that will spread it out. And then that's what I want. Another way to kind of get away with wearing a little bit of a more chocolatey brown or more of like a silver gray for daytime is to put nothing under the eye, because that you want this to look bright and lifted. And the other thing is not to use a dark eyeliner. And I mentioned that in my last video with Allie. And if you haven't checked that out, click over to see the video I did with my sister. So I'm going to take this right along the lash line, starting at the middle and just sort of dragging it out. And get a little bit thicker down at the end there. I really push it almost like this way when I have like a nice soft pencil like this, because then you get a really concentrated line. And then I just drag it out a little. Not like a feline flick, not like a cat eye, just giving the slightest lift to the edge of the lash line. Especially when you're tired, it's all about kind of creating a nice bright under eye and a lifted eye look, a nice defined brow. It really just gives you the illusion that you slept for 8 hours when you most likely didn't, because who really sleeps 8 hours these days? Who has time? Okay, now I curled my lashes. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the skin. So now that I'm done with my eyes, I'm gonna take my NARS Creamy Concealer. This is in the color Custard. It's a yellow base, which I like a lot. I think yellow toned things really cancel out redness, and this one has like the teeniest bit of pink in it, so it also cancels out my dark circles. Anytime you want to do color correcting, if you use something that's like a salmon color or a peach color or even an orange color, depending on your skin tone, it will cancel out any blue or gray and create a nice clean wash of color, and then you can conceal on top of that. I don't recommend using a corrector on its own because it will leave you with that kind of strange pinky peachy thing under your eye. Not so flattering. Okay, so I take my little Essential Foundation brush from Real Techniques and just pat. We don't ever want to drag that under eye because it's so delicate, and minimize the chance of getting wrinkles for as long as humanly possible. I guess I'm not afraid of getting wrinkles, but you know, once they're there, they're there. And I think that's just like a weird thought because I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. And then if you want to just clean up under the eye, this is a great, just drag whatever's left on the brush and bring it toward the hairline. And that looks just nice and bright. I love that. The next thing I do, my current cheek color I'm really liking for the fall is the MAC Harmony Blush in matte. It's just a matte color. This is a really cool shade that I think works on so many different skin tones because it's not only matte, but it's just this perfect shade of tan. So you can use this for contouring, and some people do. And actually when I went and picked this up last time I was at the MAC store, they're like, oh, you want that contouring color? And I'm thinking to myself, like, I use that as blush, you know, but I love it. So I love it as blush. I love it for contour. And, you know, you can sort of play with how much you want to put on. If you just put on a little bit, it gives you this really beautiful warmth to the skin without adding any shimmer. And I don't like shimmer on my cheeks unless it's like a blush or maybe an evening look. So for day to day. Now, you want to apply to the apples of the cheeks. So what does that mean? These guys right here. These are the apples. But if you apply it too far into the nose, you get that like red nose or like she put too much on kind of look. So what you want to do is go to that apple and then go right to the outside, and that's where you want to place your brush. So right there. And I do this kind of little half moon thing. Seems to work to kind of blend it without getting too much color right there. Because at the end of the day, you just want it to make you look like you're glowing, not like you're just got back from the gym. So do my little half moon motion. And as I do that, it just blends it into the rest of the cheek. And then if you want to just do a little bit of circular, kind of an oval shape down here. I always do a teeny bit on the tip of the chin for definition, and then I always, I'll put it actually back in the product and drag it up into the hairline, because this is just gonna warm up your face and give you some more dimension. So it's contouring, but not really. To me, it just makes your skin look more even when you have that color here, here, and here, as opposed to just on your cheeks. Although I would not do that with a blush. I would only do it with something in this color family, so like a tan neutral thing. Okay. And next I'm going to do the brows. So today I'm gonna do, first I'm gonna brush them through with the spoolie side. This is the Anastasia Brow Wiz. Currently loving this, so you're probably gonna see it in all my videos until I run out. And then so I brush them up, fill them in. If you want to see my brow video, I just posted that. That was like my most recent one. So if you want to go check that out, I'll show you the different products that I use and what I like and what my technique is. But for today, I'm just going to do this as quickly as possible and fill in where they're getting sparse. I've been growing out my brows, I think, for the last like 4 years, and it's been such a long process, but they're really starting to grow back in, and I think it just takes patience and not getting upset about those little ones that pop up that you're like, where did that brow come from? Just like let them come in, tweeze the ones that are like growing down here or like up there or right here, just so they look groomed, and let the rest of them just grow in, because the over plucked brow, I think, is a thing of the past for now anyway. I hope it is always a thing of the past. Okay, I'm gonna brush those through. And yeah, I actually do this much makeup for my day-to-day. Why? I love it. I love my time. My makeup time is like my self-care. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good for the rest of the day. And part of the reason why I love all of these products is that once I put them on, they stay on all day, and I don't have to worry about touching up, because touching up is something I really don't have time for. And as much as I love applying makeup, I don't like doing it again and again and again throughout the day. This is the Glossier Boy Brow. Just gives them a little texture, helps them stay in the right direction. I think this is the color medium. Yes. Brown, actually, sorry, brown. That feels super good. And then what is the next thing I have to do? Oh, lips. My lips are feeling really dry, so I'm gonna do this step next. I'm obsessed with the Cary Grant Lip Whip. I was looking for something that could replace my Rosebud Salve, which I've been using for the better part of my life. But I'm trying to get away from using petroleum-based products because they do mess with your hormones. They're endocrine interrupters, and I'm dealing with some autoimmune stuff, so I've been trying to get a little cleaner with my beauty products, and something that is on my lips that like really goes in my mouth almost. I'm trying to get a little more green. It's hard though, because sometimes the green stuff just doesn't work, but this I love. Look at this color. So this is the tinted lip whip in pimento berry. Oh, cinnamon pimento berry. And I like the cinnamon. They make a peppermint and a cinnamon. I'm like a spicy, not a minty. So I just adore how this feels. It's kind of like that feeling, this is gonna sound crazy. It's that feeling like after you've had lobster or like a really big salad that's like got tons of olive oil and dressing on it, and your lips feel like a little oily. That might make you not want to buy it now, but it's like that velvety, buttery feeling, and I love how it feels. And it's a really, really light pink. It's super pretty. Okay, and then my last step I always do last. I think the reason why I do it last is because it's like the finishing touch, and I want to look at my whole face at the end and see if I want to touch something up on the eyes or add something. So I always do mascara last, and the one I'm currently loving is the Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Lashes. Look at this brush. First of all, look at this packaging. Obsessed. I love these little illustrations. It's this nice big brush, And it's not the silicone like plasticky thing, it's like a real brush, and I just love the way that feels on the lashes. I will say it did take me a few weeks to get the hang of this, and I don't know if it was because it was summer or because I have super oily lids, but I was finding whenever I put it on, about 5 hours later, I would get those like little dots right under my brow and right down here, and it was making me look so tired and like I was crying or something. So I don't know if any of you have tried this and had that issue, but now, I don't know if it's because it's fall and I have this awesome primer back in my beauty routine, it doesn't do that anymore, and I'm loving it. It gives a really gorgeous full lash. So I'm just gonna wiggle that into the root. If you really focus on getting it at the root and not so much about what the tips of the lashes look like, you get a really kind of dolly lash. I don't know how to explain it. It looks like a very Barbie doll. And I always do a little mascara on the bottom. I like the way that looks. It gives a little depth. Okay, other side. I lift my brows a tiny bit, kind of helps get under that root of the lash. And then when I'm done applying the mascara to the lashes, what I'll do is just go back and make sure that they're all facing in the right direction, so that way you get like a more open look. So these ones at the end, I always pull them out. Like if you've ever seen a pair of fake lashes, these ones are always facing that way. The ones in the inner corner are always facing toward the nose, so I pull those toward the nose a bit. And then the ones in the middle are always facing up. So the tip of this brush is great for that. I think Charlotte Tilbury designed it like that on purpose, so you could just play with them. And I'm just gonna do my under eye. And if you smudge it a bit, I'm not going for perfection, as I mentioned with my skin. I'm just going for like what feels like me. So if you smudge it, just tap it away. If it's really bad, let it dry, get a little Q-tip, and then like swirl the Q-tip as you're doing it, and it'll kind of just take it right off. So this is the finished look. I will link all the products down below in the description box so you can see where to find them. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already so you can see all of my new videos. I also love hearing from you guys, so tag me on Twitter or Instagram with your questions, and that is at NM Caruso. So I hope to hear from you guys soon, and I will see you again in my next video.